my team is on the right distance, so they're about the right distance, a view from the perspective of mimetic theory. And I'm glad that I'm coming after the lecture on the anthropology, because this my lecture also concerns anthropology. And secondly, Girard himself was named by Michel Serres Darwin of humanities, so that we have Professor Sajcik two common points now in our lectures. Let me begin. One of the pivotal concepts in the defense against the current pandemic is the concept of social distance. It is used from the socio-medical health view. I decided to look at it at the term of distance from a deeper anthropological perspective through the lens of Girard's mimetic theory, considered today as one of the most influential anthropological theories. I know that there are other theories, but I will limit myself to Girard, who integrates the concept of distance as anthropological category in his explanation of human culture, giving to it even soteriological role with Christ in the center. According to Girard, Christ is a model, teaching us a right distance toward the world. Like Girard, I will use the term distance interchangeably with the term difference. My point of departure is Girard's work Achevé Clausewitz, Battling to the End, fifth chapter entitled La Tristesse de Hölderlin, in which Hölderlin is presented as a prophet of modern times. As believed by Girard, Hölderlin was given the insight that humanity is in the middle of the apocalyptic danger. But he was also given the insight that the salvation also is close. But the salvation must be prepared, and this is with the right attitude, with the right distance toward the world. According to Girard, Hölderlin found his model in Christ, the teacher of the right distance. The right distance enables flourishing human relationship. It is between two extremes which destroy the relationship. It is between too close and too far away. The first ends up in the fusion, the second one ends in the indifference. The first in the fixation on the other one, the second in the apathy for the other. The right distance enables one to see the other in the true light. So as in the art, the right distance is needed to establish the good perspective, so the right distance is needed to make human relationships possible, flourishing. The good perspective is essential, as written by Pascal. I will read just the passage in red. So, with pictures seen from too far or too near, there is but one exact point, which is the true place wherefrom to look at them. The rest are too near, too far, too high, or too low. Perspective determines that point in the art of painting, but who shall determine it in truth and morality? From Pascal's Pensée. First, some words on mimetic theory, to make seen why the concepts of difference and distance are crucial in it. The ambition of mimetic theory is to explain the origin, development, and future of humanity and human culture on the basis of a single mimetic principle, which is man is a mimetic, even hypermimetic being. This is, he is governed by mimetic desire. Accordingly, human relationships originate in mimetic desire. Mimetic desire is creative. It is basis of positive phenomena such as education, competition, progress, but also of negative, such as rivalities, exclusions, conflicts. It is source of the best and of the worst. Unfortunately, in the frame of mimetic desire, the worst is more successful and stronger. Why? Because imitation makes imitator and his model more similar. This is, it creates similarity between its participants. And secondly, where there is a similarity, there is, regrettably, also violence. Think just about Cain and Abel, Romulus and Remus, brothers who killed the brother. And where there is violence, there is also escalation to violence, even to the extremes. Rule is simple. Violence calls violence. In itself, violence knows no limits. This is what mimetic principle is about. Human culture is a child of mimetic desire. Mimetic desire constitutes the DNA of human culture. It enframes human culture. Human relationships are ruled by it. But throughout the human history, mimetic desire hasn't had always the same role. There are two phases into which human culture must be divided relatively to mimetic desire. First, archaic culture. Secondly, Christic culture. Archaic culture is governed by the mimetic desire. Christic culture, it is culture based on the model of Jesus Christ, is freed from mimetic desire. Jesus Christ renounced to mimetic desire. Let us first look at the archaic culture. Archaic culture is subject to mimetic desire, which creates human relationships and where imitator imitates the model. To be precise, fundamentally, desire of one participant imitates desire of the other one. So, anthropological substance of humanity consists of a network of desires in which desire imitates the desires of the others. Let us now pass to the question of mimetic circle. Mimetic desire creates mimetic circle. Imitation in which imitator imitates his model progressively changes from one-sided into a mutual two-sided imitation, where imitator and model become rivals. Rivalry grows into exclusion, into violence, into wars. These conflicts, which are contagious, turn into a war of all against all. The community therewith gets in a danger to collapse, but the mimetic desire has an antidote to protect the community and thereby itself. The desire triggers mechanism which transfers the guilt for the violence to an innocent victim, making it a scapegoat. This is the scapegoat mechanism. Consequently, war of all against all turns into a war of all against one, against the victim, against the scapegoat. The community sacrifices the innocent victim, and this returns to it unanimity, reconciliation, peace. Violence is replaced by peace, disorder by order. Subsequently, the scapegoat is recognized as divinity. It is divinized because of its reconciliation power. In Greek mythology, the scapegoat, Oedipus, is transformed into Dionysus. As maintained by Girard, Archaic deities originate in the sacrifice. This is Girard's explanation of archaic religion and morality, which stabilize the community. Mimetic circle departs from initial mimetic imitation and ends up in the formation of religion and morality. Another idea to underline is mimetic desire destroys differences and distances between community members. It creates indifferentiation, which opens way to violence. Violence originates in indifferentiation. The function of the scapegoat mechanism of the sacrifice is to stop indifferentiation, is to establish differences and distances in the community. It protects and stabilizes the archaic culture by restoring the differences. In imitation, the participants, the imitator and the model become more and more similar. The differences, distances between them are getting lost. The role of the differences, distances is to protect the members of the community one against the other, against each other. The indifferentiation, to the contrary, bring danger. In relationships without differences, the members are directly exposed to each other and to their mutual mimetic violence. The violence between them increasingly grows. Then the guilt is transferred to the scapegoat, the sacrifice. This is the expulsion of the scapegoat from the community, brings reconciliation, and here the fundamental difference is made between the inside and the outside, between the interior and the exterior. The differences and the distances are so restored. This stabilizes the community and stops the indifferentiation. And finally, mimetic circle is based on the mystified illusion, on the lie, which represents the innocent as guilty. Yet this mystification stabilizes the archaic culture. Let us now pass to the question of biblical revelation and Christic culture. Biblical revelation is the tradition in which the mystified archaic culture is progressively demystified. In the Passion of the Christ, the ultimate step is made. The innocence of the victim is revealed. Therewith, the basic illusion on which the archaic culture is based is revealed. It is revealed that the scapegoat made sacrificial victim is not guilty. This has, as a consequence, the destabilization and collapse of archaic culture. Ultimately, the Passion of the Christ is credited the power of demystification. Therewith, the mimetic circle is interrupted and the scapegoat mechanism is paralyzed. It is no longer able to produce deities. The archaic pantheon breaks down. What does this mean? The role of the scapegoat mechanism was to prevent indifferentiation. The scapegoat mechanism now is discredited, paralyzed. There is no other means now to stop mimetic desire on its way to escalation, to divert the violence from the community, and to stabilize the culture. The new Christic culture is the culture of indifferentiation. The difference between inside and outside is no longer generated by the scapegoat mechanism. So this culture is no longer exclusive, it becomes inclusive. However, this immediacy of contacts with the loss of protective differences entails the danger of extreme apocalyptic violence. For this reason, apocalyptic danger becomes visible in the biblical texts. These apocalyptic texts even have the central role in biblical revelation. The opposite also is revealed, the promise of salvation. As believed by Girard, this promise culminates in the Passion of Christ at the cross. The cross does not only set free the victims as force of forgiveness, it also sets one free for the future, for the life. The essence of the cross is Christ's retreat. Christ renounces to mimetic desire, he withdraws from mimetic rivalry, he retires from the world of mimetic desire. This creates new Christic way of life, based on the distance. Christ establishes distance, opposite the human nature, based on a mimetic desire. This distance means responsibility toward the world. For Christ, the indifferentiation no longer represents the apocalyptic danger. And now the last chapter about Hölderlin, the prophet of modern times. In the new Christic culture, mimetic desire is no longer controlled by the scapegoat mechanism. The freedom of desire has a free will. In its tendency to escalate, the mimetism accelerates and the indifferentiation grows. The freedom of desire culminates in the middle of the modernity. As believed by Girard, French Revolution and Napoleonic Wars removed last obstacles to indifferentiation. Dostoevsky was afraid of this freedom. He called it terrible freedom. At this moment, the awareness of the apocalyptic danger emerged. In the Christic culture, we can also say now, Christian culture, ancient institutions still were restraining mimetic desire and violence, but these institutions such as religion and morality, even institution of war, now started degrading. And the reason, la raison, also is not able to resist to mimetic desire. La raison is not able to prevail over the mimeticism. Reason yields to mimetic desire, and Pascal states that the reason betrays itself. Girard agrees. Who then can resist to the power of indifferentiation and its apocalyptic danger? Girard believes that there was, in the middle of this Napoleonic time of escalation, a prophet, Hölderlin, to whom apocalyptic insight was given. He expressed this apocalyptic intuition in his Patmos, where danger is, grows the saving power also. According to Girard, Hölderlin deeply experienced the apocalyptical danger of mimetic desire, which governed his time. He looked for the salvation. He didn't find it in Dionysus, as believed. He found it in the Christ, who is different from Dionysus. Dionysus was still governed by mimetic desire. Christ renounced to mimetic desire. Christ withdrew from the world, from the mimetic circle, and retreated into the silence of the Father. Hölderlin identified with Christ. Taking Christ as his model of life, he isolated himself in the tower in Tübingen, where he remained for 36 years until his death. So he established distance toward the world of mimetic desire and its indifferentiation. This was the way, he believed, to avoid the apocalyptic. For this reason, he is the prophet of our time, himself following Jesus. Neither institutions nor the reasons are able to resist to mimetism. Jesus, as seen at the cross, where the forgiveness is invented, is the soul who is able to live peace in this world of indifferentiation. Only forgiveness is able to resist the power of mimetism. The right distance toward the world at the anthropological level is manifested in the symbol of the cross. Jesus is the teacher of the right distance, and Hölderlin transmits his model into our time. This is the answer of mimetic theory to the question of right distance. Thank you very much.